Well, it's Family Matters with Kevin Petersen.
Jay
How goes it,
Staples.
Kevin?
It goes, my brother. It goes. How are you?
Well, if I was any better, it would be illegal. Just
I'm sensing
cruddy,
sarcasm.
cruddy day on the coast. Cruddy day on the coast. So good
Right?
day to document and do a show with my good friend Kevin. So
I love it. I love it.
as always, sponsored by the one and only Jaywalker, Jaywalker Lodge. How are things?
Things are good. Here's my Jaywalker Lodge. This is Kevin, the family guy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good. Life's good. Like you said, life's good at the beach, baby. Life is always good at the beach. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Well, I thought, here's what I'm going to do. So I had a few questions thrown my way.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily think that I answered them all well. Thankfully, I was on some of an online panel, but so it wasn't just all on me because I think they probably would have laughed at me. But let me ask you this. So,
yeah, fire.
What would you say is the biggest lie families tell themselves in the name of love?
I know exactly. I know the answer. Pick me.
I'm interested because I think I know. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you. I'm just getting my I got to move my seat up here.
I thought you were waiting for me.
No. The biggest lie they tell themselves is that he's going to figure it out. And tomorrow he's going to wake up and be like, "Oh my God, what have I done? I must quit this and take responsibility for everything." I was just talking to a family today, and I swear to God, bro, that's exactly. I'm like, you guys are sitting around waiting for him to wake up tomorrow because you said the magic words or the magic therapy or the magic pill, and he's like, "Oh shit, you're right," and I said, "That's never going to happen."
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went with, and of course, if you ever ask me a question, I'll answer, and then I'll spend the next 24 hours contemplating all the other answers I should have said. But I've stuck to this one. I believe that when families say I'm doing the best I can is actually kind of a deflection and kind of, a way of kind of giving up, and they don't want to have the hard conversations.
Oh yeah, I get. Yeah, I mean that's a perfectly good answer. I get that. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing I would tell you. Maybe this is the therapy in me. I don't think they're lying when they say that. I think they really believe that. They may be lying to themselves, but I think that's definitely. Well, I'll tell you what. I think we can both agree with the other one. I'll give you another answer. People only get sober when they want to. Did you get sober when you wanted to, Jay?
No, I still don't want to.
Exactly. Hell no. I got sober when the consequences got high enough where I was like, this sucks. And then,
yeah.
That's to me, that's probably, I'll change my answer.
Yeah.
That's the big.
I like that one. I still don't want to be sober because this past weekend, there was a group of women that I wanted to go approach and give my best flirty lines. But as always, I chickened out. But if I had a drink, I would have been over there. So something tells me like, man, ever since I quit drinking, I lost all my moves. But I like that. I like that. So,
yeah, no, I mean, I think that's that and the belief that lightning's going to strike. I mean, and what that comes from is the family, trying to rationalize, and reason with them and have a conversation with them and thinking that they just haven't found the right thing to say. And I'm like, no, the right thing to say is get out. And I'm happy to pay for treatment, but you can't stay here. You can't live in this house, and that's perfectly okay. That's the right thing. The it really is this, fantasy that the guy's gonna, you put your arm around him and say, "We love you, but you really need help," and they're like, "You're right, I do."
Yeah. Well, it must be the therapist, because there was another therapist that said the exact same thing, because we're doing our best. They said, like, sometimes families truly really believe that. So maybe it's someone, all you therapists, teaming up on me. I'll just tell you, like, I don't appreciate it, but whatever.
It's called unconditional positive regard. You always think the best of the client.
You therapists always have to make everything. So,
yeah.
Here's another one, and I mean, kudos for Jay for doing work and actually writing these down. But if families only understood one thing about addiction, and you can throw recovery in there, what would you think it should be, or what if it's one thing, families only could understand one thing about addiction / family recovery, what would you want them to know?
The most effective way to help your loved one is to change the family system. It's what I preach 24/7, my brother. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you want to impact change in somebody's life, change the family system and because they will want to be part of the family. So if you stop accepting their behavior, they will start paying attention.
It reminds me of kind of like the step one of like families. Like, I think anyone going through recovery, the individual, if you don't understand step one, there's really in my opinion, no need to keep going. But I think step one is that one that you really truly need to embrace. I think families, in a sense, are powerless over their loved ones' choices, and they still think they have control over choices and decisions. And I think if they believe that, there's really no changing. If they still think that they can control their loved ones' actions or behaviors or consequences, there's really not much hope for them, in my opinion.
Nope. You're absolutely right. And I think the other thing I would say is that I think those families come at it from a perspective of trying to help. And they don't come at it from a perspective of, get out of the way, I'm taking charge. I mean, they do, but the reason behind that is because they're like, I don't want you to die and I want to help you. The problem is that doesn't work, and I get it. I completely get it. I mean, they're scared to death. And so, they're going to try the old grip harder,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I did a presentation this morning and I said, one of the things you have to understand is that you cannot punish someone into good behavior. Our penal system proves that on a daily basis. You just can't. What you can do is offer them an opportunity and then hold them accountable. Yeah. And you're like, well, you can choose this or you can choose that. It is totally up to you. This comes with my support. That comes without it. It's your choice, not mine.
Well, I mean, all I could think of is like, what do you think? What are some of the I'll just put it on as a question instead of my statement. What do you think are some of the bad advice, kind of the online gurus or whatever? I mean, like, I think this is family recovery is in general just, the urge is always to lean in, and the best thing is to lean out. So it goes against all urges within, loved ones' bodies. But then there's so much information being out there that complicates it even more. I can think of a few. What would you think are the bad advice out there?
Well, we were talking about that this morning too.
I have a bug in all your offices, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So
yeah, this was a presentation I did for 2 school teachers up in Idaho, that we're doing, like for parents and teachers about how to deal with substance abuse, young kids. What was the question?
Bad advice.
Oh yeah, right.
Anything kind of out there?
Oh, there's tons. This is what I'll sum it up. They're an addict because of fill in the blank. Because you got divorced, because dad abandoned them, because mom was crazy, because we moved, because we didn't move, because. It's all hooey. They're an addict because they're genetically predisposed to being an addict, or they started doing something that's just insanely addictive that anybody can become addicted to. If I give you heroin for a month, you're going to be addicted to heroin because it becomes part of your body chemistry. So they get that bad advice from people that don't know what they're talking about when it comes to addiction. And a lot of times it's centered around trauma. Okay. And it's this narrative that if, they had so much trauma and that's why they're an addict and alcoholic, because they were self-medicating. And I will agree to a certain degree, and that where I stop agreeing with. So everybody has trauma, but not everybody turns to drugs and alcohol or substances to make themselves feel better or regulate their feelings and emotions. And those that do, there's a certain percentage that cannot control it once it starts. That is not, you could say, oh, that's because of trauma. Okay, sure. My sister grew up in the same house as me, one door over. She's not alcoholic or drug addict. She had all the same trauma, So that's just the idea that it's a one-to-one relationship. I guess that's the answer. It's not a one-to-one correlation. Addiction and substance abuse is a standalone gig. Actually, if you open up the DSM, it's the largest part of the DSM, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, substance abuse is the largest part of the DSM. So I think that's the thing that we kind of have to, understand. And like Jaywalker, right? We're a dually licensed facility, dual diagnosis. And so we get these guys coming in. The parents are like, well, he's not getting enough therapy. I'm like, whoa, simmer down. He's been here 4 weeks. He needs to get sober and stay sober and lock that in. He is getting therapy. He gets therapy every day. But we can't do anything with this guy till he's sober and stable. And so that's our number one priority. Oh, okay. And then we'll go after that stuff. But so I think I finally summed it up. Fixing the trauma or the mental health issue will not fix the addiction.
Well, let me ask you this. There's another question, and I'm glad you opened the door, like you read my mind. How does unresolved trauma in parents trickle down?
Oh yeah.
But how does it, I would say, without a word being said or without really anyone noticing it, but it's obvious. How does that trauma kind of trickle down?
Okay. I'm going to give you the answer, but I want to be super clear with you. I flunked every science class I ever took. So don't ask me to explain it.
I just want to be really clear. I flunked every class that I've taken. So
the only science class I did well at was oceanography, and that was at junior college. And a friend of mine's dad was the teacher. Now, the guy was a PhD from Woods Hole. He was a genius, but he brought it down to a level where we were all like, oh, that makes sense.
In other words, a good teacher.
Yeah. So in 2017, I am in Los Angeles at a magic show, let's call it, put on by the Meadows. And they brought in all their heavy hitters, the big hitters, And it was invite only. There's like 250 of us. And Kevin McCauley and I are buddies. Every once in a while, we get to see each other. We sit next to each other, start laughing and telling jokes. And we sat down next to each other and had lunch. I said, hey, how do you answer that question? How do you answer the where does it come from question? He's like, we just used to say nature nurture. and that's perfectly true. It's perfectly true. He said, but now there's a new element that we really truly believe in. It's called epigenetics. And it's what you're talking about. It's intergenerational trauma that gets passed down. And the classic example is the grandchildren or the great-grandchildren of Holocaust victims who are coming out of the womb with PTSD, or a level of trauma that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And they're finding that it actually is passed in genetically. And so, it would make sense that somebody that grew up in a generational mental health or addiction home would have the same thing. So, first of all, it's like, I always tell people, it's like being pregnant. You either got it or you don't, if you got the ism, then it's really just a matter of time before the bomb goes off, right? And then, so let's just take number one, nature. I don't know about you, but I consider myself to be genetically predisposed. And when I look at my family history, I'm like, oh yeah, no questions asked there. Then it's nurture. What do we mean by nurture? What we mean is, how does the family engage and interact? My mother was a prescription drug addict. My grandmother was an alcoholic. My uncle was an alcoholic. My cousin. So the nurture circle of the people that I am surrounded with on a regular basis are people that are dealing with addiction or codependence or both. So now I've got a genetic predisposition and I'm being taught how to behave. Okay. And then we throw in this third column of, not just are you physically, genetically predisposed, but you're emotionally predisposed as well. So but it all starts at the nature. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. You just don't, and then how you deal with your life and what life shows you. So that's the double down, right? And then the triple down, the trifecta is, the family generational stuff. So that's what Kevin taught me. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Because we were talking about Gabor Mate and the guy that did that TED talk that's the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection.
Yeah.
And he said, yes, and that's not the only answer. And he said, and the other side of that too is that guy used the rat study from Harvard, but he cherry picked it. Mm-hmm. He didn't tell the whole study. There was a percentage of rats that did not respond to the positive stimulus. And I will choose my words carefully. They had sex until they died. And because they were chasing dopamine. So there's always going to be a percentage of the population that doesn't respond. Okay. And so, yes, I think connection, that's what AA is. AA is connection. I also kind of feel like, duh, we invented that, Yeah. And Gabor Mate, who is a legend, he's a freaking legend. His whole thing is childhood trauma. And I get that. But I know plenty of people with childhood trauma that don't have a problem with substances. So I think you got to have the natural predisposition. You got to have the ism. And then when all the other stuff happens, you're kind of coded to be like, oh, I know how to handle this, and away you go.
It's just reminded of like how I was grew up, or just common, like, I'll just say a man or whatever it may be. Like,
sure,
you're supposed to handle it by yourself. You can make changes by yourself. And I think what hearing you talk, there's so many things that are under my skin or under my, my skull that have been just ingrained in me that you really can't do it all by yourself. Like, self-development is one thing, but like, get up, not, kick the dirt off, strap up your boot straps or whatever it is. Like, that God, like you need people, you need to continue looking at this because trauma will seep in through your nostrils when you sleep. Like you won't even know.
No, No, man, I'm telling you, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's amazing. And by the way, this kind of so I'll jump the shark and we can talk about trauma and sobriety. So people are, and then the next thing we get is, why isn't he doing trauma work? I'm like, trauma work requires stability. You have to be at a place where you can handle and engaging and acknowledging and working on that stuff. Now, the other answer is he is doing trauma work. We call it meditation and yoga and hiking. Those are the most effective, by the way, the most effective ways of handling trauma is physical exercise, yoga, and meditation. It just is. Every study will show it. If we get somebody sober, if we bring them to Jaywalker or anywhere else, then they do 30, 60, 90, or let's say they do 6 months, 9 months, and we send them on their way, and they go back to wherever they're coming from, and they walk right into AA, and they start seeing a therapist. It's like, oh, you're newly sober? Let's do your trauma work. And they bring up all that stuff. And that person starts to freak. Because now they're not where they were with all their homies, with all their safe people in their community, and they're walking around kind of like a time bomb going off inside. And that's why when I look at people that relapse in early sobriety, I would tell you almost always it's because of that. Some traumatic event or some sort of trauma that has come up. And you have to be at a place where you can get some stability in your life and deal with it. Of course, then the next question is, well, how long does that take? I'm like, everybody's different. Everybody's different. But, you're going to deal with it, right? I mean, I always tell people, happy families come from happy individuals. Happy individuals work on their shit. Everybody has shit. And of course, we're going to talk about your childhood. Of course we are. What else are we going to talk about? That's where all your stuff comes from. So
the shirts are coming soon. So,
I know we got to do something about that. But that's the deal, man. That's the deal. That's where it comes from. And you got to be in a space where you can go there. You can remember. Oh, here it is. My favorite. Remember in The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is going into the cave, right? And Yoda's like, "You're not ready. You're not ready." And he's like, "Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am." And he freaks, and because he's like, he goes in there and he sees his dad, right? And he completely loses it. Well, it's the same thing. You got to be you got to be ready. You got to be strong enough to go into the cave and deal with it and face it. And that takes time. So I'd rather people get sober and stay sober, build that strong community, get that 12-step engagement hard and fast. And then we can start going after the hardcore stuff.
Well, what you just said, I think can be mirrored to family members too. When we're talking specifically about family recovery, like going into that cave. I mean, this is why we do the show. We do it every week to the best of our ability ish. But no, it's fascinating stuff. And, as much as I would love to say, let's make it real simple and easy, like it's, you're going to have to get down and dirty. There's hard work involved. So,
yeah, and we all have it. It's the other great thing I've always heard is that, every person I know that's in recovery or struggles with addiction has trauma, but not everybody that has trauma struggles with addiction. Yeah. And so, that's the thing. Yes, you're going to have to address it. Yes, you're going to go there. What's the famous line from that movie where, Luke's like, "Oh, Mr. Yoda, I'm not afraid." And Yoda's like, "Oh, you will be." And I was like, I don't want to go in the cave. But
I've seen the Star Wars like once, so I never got in. But I know what you're talking about with the scene, but I don't know if it's the same. But
no, yeah. Well, it's the thing. Okay. So here, you want give you a quick history lesson. That analogy of the cave actually comes from Jung and Plato. Plato has an analogy of the cave, and then Jung talks about the dark side. So it's a combo pack of those two that we all have that. We all have something there that a lot of us are afraid to go to, and it scares the hell out of us. And that's where a lot of our maladaptive behavior comes from. See, I pay attention to that stuff. Just the biology stuff. I'm like,
I like staying in the sunset, like sunrise or the sun. Let's not go in the dark spot, but I mean, you couldn't be more dead on. I mean,
yeah,
the biggest times of growth are going into those caves or going into dealing, processing your shadow. Like I always say, shadow's always there, but might as well talk to him. So
pain is the touchstone of all spiritual growth. I read that somewhere.
yeah, I mean, good Lord, should be golfing.
Yeah.
I wish golfing would, lead to self-development or something I enjoy. But
well, it's painful. But yeah, I feel you, dog.
Well, I will see you next week. We'll do this all over again. I got a few more questions we can do next week, but as always, keep the questions coming. If you're watching a replay, we do this to the best of our ability. Just write in the question and we'll get to it. So, all right, Kevin.
Okay.
Take the rest of the day off. You really brought it today.
I'll do my best.